Hello there, I'm elboydo and welcome to From the Depths. You might remember a little while ago I did a bit of testing with some flak guns. Now the testing itself proved pretty rewarding. I mean, I started using flak on a lot of ships and it was sort of a good bit of fun. You might remember flak is effectively a little rocket with no propulsion fired from an ejector missile controller. And they did a good bit of damage, so the proximity meant that it hit most of the time. The flak meant it didn't have much of a chance of missing, but they would dumbfire, so normally it would miss entirely or it would come back to haunt me later on where it fell. So instead I opted to use these high explosive, high rate of fire cannons, and if you have a little note in here, you'll see that it is minimal reload. Oh, actually this is the AP one. So, I'll start with this. I used HC originally, HC only, but I'm doing a bit of testing with all four variants that I have. So this is the AP variant. It fires a lot of AP rounds very, very fast. And it goes straight down to the bottom of the ship. Like I said, whole ton of AP rounds, so it should it should hopefully trim quite a bit of a hole through a plane. Fingers crossed the AP will mean that it penetrates straight through the outer layer, as planes are normally alloy or wood. So it will penetrate through the outer layer and potentially hit an AI box, hit some ammo or something vital. That's the goal there. This one, however, is my current favourite style of high explosive. So 92 high explosive, not a lot, a very short reload time, and yeah, it does the job pretty damn well. It hits with enough HC to damage the weaker vital air flying components, maybe knock out a jet or two, and generally do a bit of mischief to a ship. All the big guns here I've deactivated, and these are all based on my flower class loop that you'll see in my campaign mode. Okay, so I was a bit skeptical of ditching my missiles entirely, so I thought I'd give them a new lease of life. Using a technique 7th Fleet taught me with bombers, I added fins, augmented navigation and infrared seekers onto the missiles. With these I also took the cone of the fragmentation down to around 90 to 120 degrees, so it would be a lot more on point. That benefit of the augmented navigation and the IR seeker means that the missile is going to go in and actively seek out my target, so they'll fly straight in. I've forgotten to fix that, hang on a second. So the missiles will fly straight in, but the augmented guidance will mean that they'll turn and try and target the ship or plane rather than just fly past it. The turning can also give them a little bit more of a boost so that they can get a bit further when flying. And finally here, I cocked it up. I just saved over another ship entirely. This should have explosive, I think. If not, then it does now. Alright, this one should it uses explosive rather than frag, so that should hopefully blow big holes in planes, knocking them out. And against metal, it'd be a lot more effective than using frag. So, let's do a bit of testing. I'm going to use a couple of different planes. It's going to be varying depending on how it's all going and how recording's going. So I might put 2 or 3 different planes of varying sizes against one craft, depending on how well it performs against them. It normally scale up though in difficulty. Right, so let's get to the first test on the high explosive high explosive rapid fire cannon. Okay, so we're just spawning in the flower class with the high explosive gun, and the test ship I'm going to use against it is a plane made by Kef, who is quite a good little plane and Japanese vehicle builder. And it's quite a nice little plane, so it's a slow target, should not be too much of a problem to hit. It's a lovely little thing. So, it's got a gun on it, I believe, yeah. But it should be no challenge at all for this. As you see, the high explosive rounds fly out now, and there we go. The first few hits start knocking it, start shaking it. They're blowing the rings off now. It's just fly and wreck it. But I wasn't fully blown off, I just blew the bottom on top. And you see here, it's got a low accuracy on that high explosive cannon, but when you're trying to hit a plane, you don't need accuracy, you just need to be able to hit something. Alright, the next test that we're going to do in line with it is we're going to spawn a fairy swordfish, one of my builds, very fast, very daily, shouldn't be too much risk here, and it's a bit more of a challenge to defend yourself from. So, that, I believe the swordfish flies around 60 meters a second. Let's see if we can get any shots on, and there you have it. It's now spinning, which means that no cannon can hit it because cannons are unable to hit things like that. And with that, the torpedo is also taking out the gun. But I'd say that's 2 planes taken out quite effectively, and within a reasonable amount of time. The main thing when you're fighting a plane is you don't want it to do too many passes like that. So if that ship had support on the ground, then it could potentially knock out the plane before it becomes a threat and get repaired. The sooner that it's all well and good being able to take a plane down eventually, but when it's coming at you, you don't want it to be in the sky for much longer. Well, let's spawn another one. And this time we're going to put it against, I've forgotten who made it now, and I'm really sorry about this because I absolutely love it, the Frogfoot fighter bomber, and I'll put a link in the description for it because I absolutely love this thing. It looks beautiful. I've put in the wrong colours because you put in 3 colours, and I've downloaded a new version, but looks fantastic. I used it in the old test as a general thing to put stuff up against. See here, got that high explosive gun railing out. The bomb's about to come in, and they're probably going to take that gun out. But we'll see if these 80 rounds do much. Oh, it's still firing. The bombs didn't do much, didn't stop it. Bomb's missed, but I think it may have knocked this out. Possibly. Nope, it's still going. It's still going. Right, let's see if it can get any more shots on. The thing with this craft is it's quite a good test bed for most things like this, as it's quite big. It's slow, but it's got a bit of strength to it. See here on the side, it's getting hit by those high explosive rounds. Now the alloy itself is holding up pretty damn well. That's not getting affected too much by the explosions, but what is getting affected are all the wooden bits, and those are the important things. You don't want your rings to get blown off, otherwise you're going to be in for a bad day. And that's the main thing to be wary of. The weakest bit of your ships are always the things you want to guard the most, and rings on planes you can't guard at all. So, see here, it's just blown one off, and with many of these, you see here it's knocked out one of the jets, and it's knocked out the other one. That's the main benefit of the high explosive, it can blow those off. And once that's off, the plane's less of a risk. Your main gun's going to hit it, and the main guns are the things that are going to be packing the punch. So even if this can't penetrate the armour, if this big gun got round and was able to get a shot on reliably, then it would be able to do a lot of damage. So with a high explosive, let's run it through one more test. It's going to be a bit of a long video, there's going to be a bit of testing here. Actually, I think we'll run them all through the same sort of test. So this time we're going to use our lovely AP version. So this is the exact same design, except it uses an armor piercing round. We'll go over here, and the first test will be Kev's HUN even. I think it's the HUN. and we'll see how well the AP does against it. Now the point of AP is to not blow them up per se, but destroy the vital bits. But the A2N here, it's not got many vital bits to hit. The explosive will be a lot more effective, so you're just going to have to hope the AP goes through and can take down, I don't know, some important part like the engine or hit an ammo barrel. And it's done a reasonable job. It's not done anywhere near the sort of efficiency we could expect from the high explosive though. But it follows it quite well, and it puts a good few holes in it. That's, I think, yeah, I don't know if that's just the plane being bad at turning, but it's put in the water, so if it's gone in the drink, then you know it's not going to make it too far. Let's back up. For how long? Nope, I think it's been knocked out. So that's going to cause problems later on. But I don't know, I'd say that maybe the AP knocking out a vital bit of it. So it would be struggling to get out of the water. Once it hits the water, it can't keep flying. Also, I presume. But we'll try it again. This time we'll use it against a fairy swordfish. The idea is we're going to probably run them all through, then pick the 2 best. Now I'm ranking it partly as exclusively AA guns. These are not guns for use anywhere else really. So, getting a bit too far away. Fairy swordfish. So these are not made for anti-ship operations or anti-sub. They're exclusively for taking out aircraft when you need to get that aircraft out of the sky. Right, and the AP doesn't need to worry too much about, you know, using AP. It can just fire. Oh, hello. So the AP may not have knocked it out, but it has done enough to make that plane unable to properly control itself, as it now climbs and climbs and climbs into that annoying state. So let's go back down here, spawn another one in. I mean, in a battle, that wouldn't be too much of an issue, but it would just be irritating. Okay, that torpedo's gone in. And these AP rounds are going up. Do we get any hits? You see that it took a couple of dabs out with the side, but not a lot of extreme damage. We'll have to wait for the swordfish to double back round and see if anything more interesting happens. And that's quick. So this thing absolutely did blast rounds out. I'm planning on using it on a few replica craft. This is the main purpose of the testing for my replica, so right now I'm using really bad looking buffer style things which are not effective and look horrible. So I'm thinking I'll do it, say substitute for what would normally be a buffer gun, but because of limitations to do with how big I can make a gun like that, for realistic reasons, I'll use this instead. And that AP is not, you know, it's not doing a great job for knocking out the sky, is it? I mean, the other one, it just made it unable to guide itself, but this one, not too effective. I mean, it definitely knocked holes into that, you know, into the airframe, but you don't want holes, you want a plane to be in the drink. So, do one more test with it. This time against the frogfoot. And if we can defeat the frogfoot, then we might be in for luck. Now the AP should be a bit more effective here, as it's looking to try and penetrate through that metal. And the frogfoot's targeting it directly. Let's see what the AP can do anything. Alright, so we see the AP rounds all flying in here. Don't know what they're targeting, but they're definitely getting hits. Okay, and yep, the AP rounds hitting that underframe now. Oh yes! That's very quick. The AP rounds did their job exactly then. Penetrated straight through the underside of the alloy and hit an ammo barrel. knocking this plane out of the sky. It's effectively a Hulk, so if it was in my replica campaign, for example, at this point I'd be able to just go straight back and nick it for myself. Well, not nick it for myself, nick it to scrap. And that's kind of the benefit of AP, when you want to be able to knock a vehicle out and then scrap it later. If you're playing hardcore AI, where a hardcore campaign where you don't get any resources from blowing stuff up. And again, goes out with the AP, and you see it's just got such a fire rate that I can just knock a hole straight through it in next to no time. It doesn't matter how strong those kinetic rounds are. What matters is that I can knock that hole in. And with planes, it normally comes in at a good angle. So there's one more test I want to do because that just went so well. And I pressed the wrong button. I just want to see how well it does against a Lancaster. Actually, no, we'll get to that later. So, heavily armoured, high AP works. Lightly armoured, having a very explosive works. I just hit very a few times because I forgot what I was going to say. I'm not sure if I've got a big gun to see activated, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem, I hope. In this we're going to be running the previously high explosive rounds in the missiles, like World War II, IJN, Kev Fighter, and these missiles I'm not too sure on their range, but they should do the trick. Okay, so they missed that one. First time fire, innit? That plane's coming awfully close. Okay, that didn't go anywhere near. Alright, let's see how this. Yep, it's locked in. You can see it's locked in. Oh no, it just ran out. It ran out of juice, I think. I'm not too sure what happened then. Yep, here we see one curving now to try and lock into it. I'm not sure what they're targeting now. There we are, and we see the fragmentation all fly in here. As it's just blown that out, we see another one come in, knock it out again. This is exactly what you want. Admittedly, I shouldn't really have the big gun fire, and that kind of skews my results, but it looks bloody cool. So let's try Swordfish against it. Now the Swordfish would be an interesting one because it's a fast mover, and that would be a real challenge. I mean, these should theoretically be able to hit a fast mover depending upon how it attacks, but it will struggle a little bit. I'm going to have to probably disable those main guns in the next test, because they look a little bit like they're getting a bit too active. I hope they don't ruin my results. Oh, here we are. We see one of these changing the angle ever so daintily. And there we are. It's blown a hole straight through the back. Blown out that tail. And if we're lucky, we might see another hit. Or not. Well, that's done a lot of damage in the rear end, allowing for the main gun to be able to hit it. As we saw there, solves the problem quite quickly. Not totally the best test. I'm going to quickly conduct a new one, but I'm first going to deactivate all the main guns on the following craft. 1 second. Okay, so I've deactivated the main guns, and now let's do a little test run against Frogfoot. See how well it does against an armoured target. The Frogfoot, like I said, it's not going to be the biggest threat, but it does test against armoured targets that can do a bit of damage. I mean, the main benefit of this is just that it's such a small component that the gun, anything below here can knock the gun out, but you have to hit this pretty high up to do damage. See here, that's coming in. Will it connect? Yes. first shot connects him, and second shot straight into the bottom, hits the ammo, blows it out. Any damage on top? No, but we should see some. There we go. The frag rounds are now directed to hit pretty much perfectly into where it's aiming. There is another test I wanted to do on these where I want to add proxy. I might do that later depending on how well it all goes, but I'd say against the Frogfoot, it does the job pretty damn well. The only downside, unlike the other guns, guns can fire immediately, whilst these, they're very much limited to being able to fire only, well, they can fire close up, but they're only going to explode if it's a good distance away. I'm going to try proxy to see if that improves it later on, but I'm not too certain. I'm a bit iffy about that. However, let's now try it with our own special favourite, the high explosive. This I've got a lot of faith in, if only because I like high explosive rounds. Frag is nice, but I feel nothing can beat a good old explosion, can it? So let's do first test. Again, we're going to load in the A2N fighter. Now, as the big guns are disabled, it would be exclusively the high explosive shells hitting it here. High explosive shell, I mean high explosive, whatever it is titled as. You might see here the active effect of it turning in the air provides a good amount of speed. We blew a hole in the front of it with the first shot. Now a hole with the second shot. Third shot does another, and that's knocked out all of its propulsion. So the high explosive did the job very well. I'm not sure how well frag would have done had it got the same sort of hit, but I'd say that definitely did the job and solved the problem quite quickly. Let's just quickly spawn in the opposing swordfish. I think the wreck of that shouldn't affect the swordfish too much, but if it does, then I'll have to do a quick restart or reset. But I'd say that's a pretty damn good result. Like you see here, the main problem is when it hits it, you don't actually get any explosion because the round hasn't yet set itself up. And here's the main problem, the guidance. It can't deal with fast planes too well unless under a set few circumstance. So we'll wait for it to double rack round and see how well it goes. I think another benefit of this is that these can keep on firing quite happily for quite a long time. It's quite difficult to stop these firing without destroying the launcher. That said, if those launch bases are high explosive, and they will explode if hit by anything. Right, and there we go. We'll get one hit to the tail. Will we get another hit? Nope. Alright, so this makes me want to test out another thing. Well, I can't do it right now, but let's just quickly set it up. Just for shits and gigs. So using high explosive still, I'm going to just do it under my own banner. Stuck with... Oh, okay. That is why I should stop the recording between things, but without failure, it would be one of my videos. Alright, so, high explosive. This time, we're going to change the recommended navigation to target prediction. And in theory, bear with me now. In theory, the theory is, I spawn you in, and the rocket should be able to predict where it will be, and hopefully not bounce off my own craft. In my theory, but my theories never work, do they? Alright, we're seeing a bit of that navigation kicking in there. It's not going to do a lot right now. I think the augmented has the benefit of it records an upward slope, which adds a bit more speed into the matter. This one has the problem of it normally fires a little bit low, I've noticed. and it doesn't impact it. It's a lot more of a steady approach we see here. Yeah, so that's not too effective at all. Let's try the high explosive now against the frog foot and see how well it fares. Okay, and spawning the frog foot in. Let's do it. So the main difference here is, well, not a lot really. We're still using the high explosive rounds, and after this I'm going to put a proxy on them and see how well that works. It'll make them a little bit less powerful, but you know, the proxy should have a nice bit of effect. Those rockets will come in. I hope they don't break my missile launcher. They broke my missile launcher. Well, that's brilliant. Explosive hits. You see that? I think it's knocked out. Nope. Alright, I'm going to have to spawn a spare one in. Because I didn't expect that to happen. That's the downside of missile launchers. It can easily be wiped out. But I think the main... I don't think anything could have changed how that turned out. So we'll just have to take it as it is. But we'll spawn in another one. And we'll check out how well these rockets do. Okay now. So if it's gonna fuck up me and it's gonna break me again, and this is gonna be a ruined test, I'm going to spawn another one in. Or not? Yeah. Yeah, I am. Well, I wish I could say something about this, but I don't know what I can say about it, really. Well, that didn't go at all well to plan. I don't know how to classify that one. I think it's just a frog that got a lucky shot in. But as we saw with the fragmentation, that went totally the opposite to how I thought it would. As I thought the high explosive would do a lot more, but it appears the frag is probably a superior weapon when considered an aircraft, because aircraft don't normally have metal. Explosive is normally a lot better against metal. One more time, somewhat lower height, just to see if it was a one-off or if I can repeat my, or if this will get different results. If these don't hit, I'll be impressed. If they do hit, I'll be happy. Right, so one comes in. Do we see it close in on the target? Yes. Another comes in, and I don't think it's going to close in. No way though, because this one should now navigate its way in. And we're going to see an issue here. It can't chase very well because it will go low. And we had the same problem with navigation, with the other navigation ones, but they do a similar thing. Well, I think this sums up one main thing. The high explosive is not too effective. I'd personally say we'd be better off using the frag. I do reckon so. Yeah, I'd definitely say so. The frag so far seems to be a lot more on point and generally less likely to fuck up. These, they do a job, but you know what I mean, like, you're just blowing holes here. I mean, against armor targets, the frag definitely works better. Against metal targets, I'd probably say the high explosive would work better because it's more likely to blow a hole in the explosive. But a good shot with a frag could easily take out a metal frame. I'm gonna get one more plane now. I'm gonna look around, quickly get one more plane, and we'll do one against a bit more of a powerful target. See how well it performs, and hopefully I'll put it down to you guys to tell me what you reckon performed best. 1 second please. Okay, so I decided upon something to use for a our final little test here. It's not going to be a combative thing, it's just going to see how efficient these are taking something out of the sky. And to do that, I'm going to spawn in a high explosive first. And a target today. Sadly, something I saw on the workshop today, I've forgotten who made it, I apologise for that. But it's called the Epic Passenger Airplane. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. It doesn't have AI, so I added some in, and I added a couple of extra surprises, which sure we'll all find out about in a second. I'm a bit worried because I have just chucked an AI in, I haven't done too much to it, so it might behave a little strangely. So it's got quite a low cruising altitude for reasons that are about to become clear. Let's enjoy a little backing music as these two come at odds. So you can see here the high explosive rounds are coming in. They've hit one of the engines, so it's done a bit of damage. They're looking away at one of those engines, and they're now working on that ring over there. The plane's just turning, I'm not sure why. I think it's spinning, but there's a lot of damage going on to the back end there. It's firing quite valiantly. It's losing components everywhere though, and I'm not certain what's happened, but it can't seem to stay any longer. I'm gonna have to look at what I can do about that. I might make the attack runs a little longer between videos, but as you can see there's quite a lot of damage going on. It's not hitting it too well, so it's not too great, and it's also struggling to hit it now because it's doing the rear turning thing. Also I'm a bit worried there might be a collision. It's a bit interesting. Right, the high explosive hitting again on one of those engines. I think, yeah, they've exposed one of the engines now. I've got to say, it's a very beautiful thing. It's got a fully walkable interior. It's just a generally beautiful little thing. It's just a shame that someone has to come along and break it. Right, and those high explosive rounds are doing their job again on that ring, right on the rear. And they're blowing out that entire back end of the fuselage, I think it's called. Yeah, all the engines are still working. You can see why I picked this now. It's a very strong craft, given what it is. Oh, and there's the first surprise I packed in there. There we are. Yep. That is what you think it is. I packed this aircraft full of explosive ammo powers because I wanted this to be entertaining. And it's still far away. This is pretty impressive. One of the rings have now been blown off, but it's still operational. I don't know how to call that. But high explosive didn't actually do too much to take it down. So I mean, it did take it down in the end, but I'd say it wasn't too efficient. Wait, no, there goes the other ring. But I'd say it took it down, but it's still functional. You can still recover, and only one ammo set went off. See here, it's got a fully lit interior. It's beautiful. Right, so as we see there, it didn't fully knock it out. It didn't do too much. More or less what I expected it to do, though, considering the high explosive rounds. You know, they're very much limited to what they can do against an alloy ship. So let's try it out with AP. Okay, and round 2 now with the AP flower class. Spawning it in, and let's go over here. Spawning our passenger aircraft. So I don't know how much of a valid test this is, but it's a pretty fun one to watch. So make it what you will. I'd say it's pretty enjoyable. And so long as I enjoy it. That passenger aircraft going overhead, and we've got the AP rapidly firing out of that gun. See down there? That's sound tick. Ah, I do have binoculars. See that AP now? All firing in there. Occasionally bouncing off, but on the whole, it's penetrating through every now and then. That's what you want to see. Okay, it's still firing in. Made a few more holes. Not too much more though. Alright, and the AP's on it again. Now the real question is, will it do a better job than the original high explosive? It's quite a fast aircraft once it gets going, isn't it? How fast is it going? It's only going 31 meters a second. Right, and it's now, I think, outran this gun. It's got quite a wide turning circle because it has a habit of sinking. Well, it gives us time to inspect the damage. A bit of knocked out material, a few holes. Pretty standard. Not too much in the first one. And this craft on here, happily floating along. Oh, just pause it for a minute until I don't know it's coming back in for it and have a shot. I think. See what I mean about it? It goes pretty crazy turning angles. I had to limit it quite severely so it wouldn't go absolutely batshit crazy. Okay, going in now. And we're getting connections. Almost, we're getting there. It's just narrowing down the target. And we should start hitting now. We're gonna hit. No, we're missing. Really bad hit. It's not going to recalibrate. Get back to firing. If it's lucky, it might penetrate the rear. But so far, I think I don't know if it's the AP or if it's how I changed the gun runs of this plane. I'm really not too sure. I'm thinking about this be a bad run. But this is more or less continuation points. I'm going to pause it now until it comes back. Okay, I didn't. I just spawned another one because go big, go home. YOLO. At least now we might see one of these get shot down. And that's why we're all here, aren't it? Innit? Yeah. It's a beautiful thing though. I don't know what I can do with it, but I want to do something with it. Right, we've got the AP coming in now. There's many cutting into the rings. So you'd pretty much expect, to be honest. Right, see when they hit, they normally ricochet because of the angle. What? They're making holes. Oh yeah, they are, aren't they? Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm surprised no one's really made anything big. I think people have actually made these before, but I haven't noticed them. Probably. But I haven't really seen too many giant aircraft like this. Quite impressive when people make them. Very impressive, actually. So this aircraft's now making its comeback. I fear that my sanity of this test is flailing. However, I think it's pretty conclusive that the AP isn't doing quite as well as the high explosive. At least that's what I'm making of this test so far. I don't know, you could probably see a different result, but that's what I'm seeing. Alright, let's try it with the slightly better alternatives. The fragmentation missile and the high explosive missile. I think they'll probably have a much better result. Okay, we're back again. This time we're testing, I think it's the high explosive. I'm not too sure though. Yep, the high explosives. There's a lot of police going around tonight. Alright, so with all the high explosive shells, they should hopefully hit. Before it goes to plan, that is. You see they're reloading now. Firing out. I hope I haven't made it fly too high. Okay, we're gonna see a hit. Oh, it's looking iffy. Notice these are going mainly for the engines. Yeah, I think I made it fly too high this time. Alright. Okay, so I enjoy the music of this game, and I thought I'd turn it back on because I haven't had it on in a little while. And I remember I took it off because whenever I play, if I'm recording, I end up doing a lot of recording and a lot of resetting. And after about I've been recording for about 2 hours, but you only see about 40 minutes then out of it. I've been recording for that long. I've heard that vehicle designer music so much, it's not even funny any longer. Okay, I have a feeling these are fragmentations. What are they? What are they? No, they're high explosives. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. It's flying around 30 meters a second, but it's going to be flying quite low. It would be ideal for these. Now the thing is, these are not very smart missiles, as they're designed mainly for targeting aircraft without giant hot bits on the outside. Oh god, it's going to crash into the water, isn't it? Is it? Yeah. Okay, so that didn't miss out too well. Alright, I've got a plan, don't I? If all else fails, use 3 times as many craft and hopefully it will work. So I think we more or less concluded that the guns with high explosive rounds are more effective. However, flak rounds are still pretty awesome. I don't even care who you are or what you say. I think they're pretty good. Okay, so we concluded one thing. I'm probably not going to test it with the frag rounds, because I've realised one thing from this. Right now, these are not quite the most effective weapon. So personally, I don't know. I would try it with the frag rounds, but I don't think I think we get the same result where we don't get many hits at all. So the only thing I can really do is on our way out. Close down. I'm going to do it with 3 high explosives because they seem to be the most effective and the most reliable I have. But we'll let you decide upon that one as we exit the video. I've been elboydo. Thank you for watching. Please, in the comment section below, if you've stuck with me for so long, let me know what you think. And what you reckon looks best, what you reckon I should try to improve upon what we've seen today. Anything at all you feel about what I did what I could have done better, what could be improved upon. Anything you'd like to see tested from the depths, probably in a much more concise and short video, not quite so long as this. This dragged on a little bit because I thought I'd have a bit of fun, and generally it didn't go quite to plan. So yeah, if you want anything tested, I'll do a quick video and see if it works. Other than that, let me know what you think is the best weapon to use for anti-aircraft. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. I've been elboydo. Take it easy and enjoy this little bit of combat. Have fun.